Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is a wonderful, brisk,
Rainy Monday. Rainy days and
rainy,
Mondays
damp,
always get me
damp. And
down.
isn't it spring already? Supposedly,
Supposedly,
feels like February out there. Hey
I
guys, what's
know.
up? But yeah, and I guess we got. They according to some of our sources, we were trying to get the video, but there was a brawl of Durfee High students, again, behaving badly. And we have gotten reports about that. If anybody has the video, please share it with us so we can air it. Because somebody supposedly, I know it was on the, somebody was on the, one of We Suck at Radio, I guess, and mentioned it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but they'll cover that up. It's got to do with it. And I saw that firsthand once when I was in Newport Creamery. I saw a couple of Durfee students go in there and just knock things off the counter and everything else and assault the manager and everything else. And they just, nothing.
But
You know?
remember, we are graduating more students
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
recent history of Durfee High School.
Well, that's because, you don't graduate. You were virtually graduating nobody. And so let's put this Facebook propaganda. Let's put this Facebook propaganda to bed once and for all. I know that they've got this Facebook campaign, which anything you see on Facebook is obviously you can't. You have to fact check it because people can put anything they want on Facebook.
Yeah, but remember something. Of course, your graduation rate's going to be high. You can't flunk them, you can't keep them back, and you can't kick them out of school.
That's right. It's like Baltimore. If they're
Right.
reading at third grade level, they still graduate.
That's right.
I mean, that's we know that, and therein lies the problem. Yeah, right. What a shocker. We had videos years ago, and nothing's ever done though. Therein lies
Nothing's
the
done.
real.
No.
Well, let me get back to this Facebook bullshit. We got the best school system in the state. It's wonderful. We got the best graduation rate. So CJ and I were just talking like 30 seconds before we went on the air,
Probably something like that, yeah.
and I just Googled it. I said, "What's Fall River school system ranked in the state of Massachusetts?" So you can get some variations depending on what source. And I remember that Nelson did one a while back, and we were down. But this is what I got, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it verbatim. Basically, you can't read the thing. I don't think.
No, you can't see it. You can't see your screen.
Kind
You
of.
can't see your screen.
Okay. Well, this is what I got from Public School Reviews and Neighborhood Scout, which is, I guess, tells you what kind of neighborhood you move into with school systems. The Fall River school system ranks in the bottom 50%. They're being kind because they don't want to hurt their feelings too much. It's actually about in the bottom 5%.
Correct.
So I mean, we're like second from the basement. We're the second row of bricks in the basement. So, okay. Fall River school system ranks in the bottom 50% of the public school districts in Massachusetts, specifically ranked 363rd out of 393 districts based on combined math and reading proficiency testing data. The district has a graduation rate of 76%, which is also below the state average. Bingo! Stop the bullshit, Hilltoppers. This is what we've heard forever. What do they say in Fall River when somebody says Fall River's got a lot of crime? They're lying. Fall River's beautiful. Oh, we got a shitty school. Oh, no, we got the best school system. They all hate Fall River. Everybody in the country. we've had national rankings where we were like, I think the one Nelson did was a nationally ranking outlet, and we were down at the bottom. We're down in the bottom 5%. The school system sucks. So let's not BS it. Facebook, the Facebook commandos. Now you know why I don't do Facebook, because it's all bullshit. Look it up. I mean, you can look it up. I just Googled that; it came up, and there's a whole bunch of others, and I'm sure it may not be 363rd. We might be 380th in some, 350th in some others. But remember, there are only 351 cities and towns in the entire
Right.
So if you're in the 300s, you suck. I mean, how else can you put it? You know? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, they ignore everything, James. All they do is try to, people don't know that there are actually higher ratings. They just, we got A. Oh, it says A in front of it. Well, like CJ said, they're touting their graduation rate, but they don't flunk anybody. It's like what Baltimore did. So what happened to Baltimore? Baltimore is graduating high school students that read at the 5th grade level. So what are they going to do later on? Yeah, no, we're not being negative. Those are facts. Listen, I didn't make this up. You can Google it.
The sad part about it
is, you to believe me. Find
the sad
me.
part about it is, you and I have been called liars how many times?
Oh.
And every single time, we get proven to be factual. Every time.
Yeah, when they don't, see that.
They don't say, oh, we were wrong. They were right. Nope, they don't say that.
No.
They just say, oh, they're negative.
Yeah. Well, that's the con.
That's right. That's the con.
It's called projection in psychology. They project their idiocy on the other people. I mean, listen, they do it even on a national level. Look, now they just lobbed a missile onto an island that showed they can reach Europe. So again, after they said Trump was full of crap, they can't reach Europe. Well, now we know they have ballistic missile capabilities in Iran to reach Europe. So this is what they do. If they don't have an argument, they say you're being negative. It's not being negative if it's a fact. See, this is how stupid they think we are. Like, we're going to believe what they put on Facebook. Durfee's the best school system in the state. Who put that on it? Tommy Corey? He was on a radio Saturday on We Suck at Radio. Oh, that school system's wonderful. Oh, it is, we're doing. You're full of shit, Tommy. I'm sorry. If your eyes aren't brown, it's because you're wearing contact lenses, because I know that shit's above your eyebrows. So this is nuts. I mean, this is what you got.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. This weekend and today, I received lots of phone calls regarding the weekend flush. And how, I got one comment. In the 10 years I've read the flush, this is the best pinpoint flush I have ever dealt with.
Yeah, actually,
you are right on the money. That's what I was told. You are right on the money. Well, guess what? I've been right on the money all along. It just happens that with this flush, I decided to take off the mittens and I put on the boxing gloves.
Yeah, well, yeah, we talked about the flush for a while before you put it up, and I waited with bated breath. And I really liked the opening quote, and I'm going to read it. History repeats itself. First is a tragedy. Let's see if we can break this down for the people that don't have any analytical ability, what this guy said. Even though a lot of people disagree with this, I don't believe in his economic theory or something. Karl Marx. History repeats itself. First as a tragedy, second as a farce. If you allow things to get really bad, that's a tragedy. If you allow your society to disintegrate and your city to disintegrate, that's a tragedy. When it continues, you're a joke, a farce. That's what Marx meant by that. It's an absolute tragedy. What's been done to this city, and again, the English have all the material requisites for the revolution. What they lack is the spirit of generalization and revolutionary ardor. Karl Marx again. In other words, if you don't have the courage to do what you got to do, you're never going to accomplish anything. That's what he's implying.
That's Fall River.
Like the recall. Listen, what Paul Coogan did, going on media and having the unmitigated audacity, and people talk about Donald Trump, the dictator. He told the city council, I don't care what you want. I'm doing whatever I want. I'm going to pay anybody I want. And I'm going to give her a contract whether you like it or not. That's a dictator. Well, and then Rumsey, of course, people continue. Well, Alan Rumsey said that he can do that. Well, no, he didn't. He said he can negotiate a contract, which the city is who they negotiate with. You work for the city of Fall River, you got to negotiate with the city of Fall River and his executive branch or his designee. He also has to attach an appropriation by law to fund the contract that they negotiated. But that does not mean that the city council has to approve it. And for Rumsey to say that means that he can just do it, and because he can appropriate it. Yeah, he can appropriate it, but it has to be funded by the council. It's in the law. It's in the law. Her contract had to go before the council before. City councils that don't approve collective bargaining agreements go right back into negotiations. He usurped the authority of another branch of government because he can do anything he wants. What he's telling the taxpayers of the city of Fall River is simple. I'm going to give everybody I like a giant pay raise and a contract, whether the council agrees, whether the taxpayers agree, screw it. And they are, okay. That's what he wants to do. But what does that do? And I don't know what kind of job she's doing. I don't know it. But Paul Rumsey's got nothing. Paul Coogan's got nothing to do with the appropriation. He just can't do that. It's about Paul Coogan. It's not about the police chief. Now, the police chief, if she gets another 2-year contract, will now get a massive increase. Because remember, CJ, what was her pay increase when she got in?
$35,000.
Okay, so all of you guys out there that got a little calculator on your iPhone or your Android, punch in 80% of $35,000 because that's what she's going to get in her pension. That's a pretty damn big pay raise. That is actually more than the median income, the average median income in the city of Fall River. Because her salary elevated another $35,000 goes to a point where that actually has a multiplier principle, brings it up to around $38,000. That's more than it. That's more than the median per capita income. Hey, I'm not blaming her. Shit, somebody wants to give me a $35,000 pay raise. Fine. But that's why it has to go before the council. That's why the tax fee, nobody cares about the tax. Paul Coogan, like I said, I was saying, well, I'm not, the recall, they're saying he's going to step down, he's going to do this. He's doing so much damage to this city. He's doing so much that he's got to do so much damage to this city that it's inconceivable. I now have to become an advocate for a recall of Coogan. When a mayor gives the middle finger to the city council and says he doesn't care about them, and it's on the crawl on Channel 10 and Channel 12. The local news media is saying the mayor doesn't give a shit about his city council. Talk about arrogance. Talk about a dictator. Yeah, well, James, where, look at what look where it was. Seattle, Minneapolis, the bastion of the liberal maniacs. They do not care about anybody. They just had a student at Loyola University in Chicago stabbed by an illegal and killed by an illegal, shot by an illegal. I'm sorry, which was the said she was shot dead. And that guy had a record 9 miles long, and he got in with his Biden T-shirt, and he's been arrested, never deported, and continued to be let out on the street. This is what you get when you have a government in a blue state. They won't even, on the mainstream media, except for Fox, I'll bet you that most of those don't even say that he was illegal. You may not even see a lot of coverage about the murder. But another student dead, shot. They were out at night, and some of them had the audacity to say, well, they were out at 1 o'clock in the morning. They're college students. You can't stay up till 1 o'clock. They were out there to watch the Aurora Borealis, supposedly. I don't care what they were doing. They were partying, they were drinking. I don't give a damn what they were doing. You don't have the right to walk up and shoot somebody and have no consequences. But in Chicago, they've been murdering people on the South Side for decades, and they got a mayor that doesn't care. They're worried about getting reelected, and they don't give a damn about anybody. He is allergic. No, we've got to actually support the recall. I said they have a right to do it, but now I really believe Paul Coogan, it's almost incumbent on the people of Fall River to get together and sign that petition and recall him, because when you got a mayor that's gotten so out of control that he doesn't even pretend that he has one thought about the taxpayer or one thought about any other branch of government. Oh, screw the council. I don't care. Look at the hissy fit he pulled when a school committee did something he didn't like. He's never going to get over that. Let's see if the city council can step up the way the school committee did and tell them, oh, no, Paul, you're going to say F us? Well, F you. We're going to do it. Let's see what the council does about this. Let's see if they fund the contract. He made a promise, which he never keeps, and shame on them for ever listening to Paul Coogan, that he was going to move it to civil service. Never call for a list. It's on them too. They're sitting there on their thumbs and saying, well, why didn't somebody say, Paul, you said you're going to move it. Call for a test. You also said we were going to change the form of government. You haven't filed that. File that, or we're going to take you to court, because, you can't do this kind of stuff. This is why the guy's going to be recalled. This is his 7th year. He's never listened to anybody. He doesn't care. The Armory, how many times did they try? How many times nobody's, you can't use the Armory for anything except what Paul wants. He'd rather let it turn into.
Rather let it rot.
That's
rot,
right.
Rot.
This is what you got. And I mean, kudos to the people on a recall. Yes, get those papers out. I will be. Yeah. Well, that's it. He doesn't care if they can do the job, and I don't have any problem with any color firefighter. But I got a problem with firefighters who aren't capable of being firefighters, like in LA. What did he have? He had a lesbian fire chief and a lesbian deputy chief. And as the city burnt down, what was her comment? No water in the hydrants, no plan how to, nothing, no preparation. What was her comment when she was told about things? Well, if you get trapped in a building, I can't rescue you. I'm not capable of doing that. It's your fault for getting trapped in the building. You shouldn't have been there. And while I said that, you see how ridiculous that is? What's a firefighter's job? First priority, life safety. You know what a city councilor in Chicago said? Not that college student should not have been killed. She said, wrong place, wrong time. Wrong place, wrong time. So you can't go out. You got to live in your house for your whole life. You can't go out because if you're in a wrong place at the wrong time in a liberal state or a liberal city, you're screwed. If you're on a third floor of a three-decker hanging out a window, you're screwed because the fire chief can't get up there and rescue you. It's your fault. Wrong place, wrong time. If you're watching the Aurora Borealis and some illegal shoot you dead, it's not his fault. It's your fault. Wrong place, wrong time. What's the matter with you? This is the problem. Wake up. Wake up. I mean, I don't know how any state can stay blue when they look at what's going on. You have to be like really not semi-retarded. You have to be so far at the top of the spectrum, you fell off the spectrum of being stupid. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you listen to this stuff, and they have the audacity to say this in front of a camera. Coogan says, screw the city council. I don't care what they think. They're the appropriate body. But I don't know that either. I'm just the vice principal. Then you got a city councilor in Chicago, obviously an ultra-liberal who supports the mayor, says, it's a tragedy, a college student going to Loyola University, which is a pretty prestigious school. That's not bad, actually.
It doesn't roll off the tongue, but
it doesn't roll off the tongue, but it's a pretty fair assessment of what it is.
Yes, it is.
It is a pretty good assessment of what it is. Yeah, well, the others shouldn't even be on the council. And I'm telling you, if you're going to do the recall, guys, think about having a petition to recall the bobbleheads too. You know, Paul Hart,
Linda Pereira,
Raposo. You know,
Raposo.
Yeah,
no question about it.
Joe Camara. Those four should be gone. If you're gonna, you might as well just print a few extra pieces of paper because I mean, listen, CJ and I have been doing this a long time. I've never seen any mayor with the audacity to just not even pretend. Oh, there you go. Oh, did we pay? Oh, those are the discount lights. The $1 million lights say Paul's great. Okay, who can identify who's in his picture? Okay. I think that might be Paul almost out of the shot. And as usual, he's deferring to everybody else to look at the lights.
Alan Sylvia, Carol Fiola. I don't even know if that's Alan Sylvia. It doesn't hold right.
I don't know.
I don't know who those people are.
Well, I'm not good at. I know Carol Fiola.
I know Carol Fiola.
Because of the hairdo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. The other three, I got no idea. If you guys can guess who they are, just let us know, because I don't have a clue. The other guy, the face looks familiar, but I just can't. I can't place him. But I mean, I've never seen anything like this. This guy's just, everything he does is like, I don't care about you or the money. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, of course they're going to say that. So we should not have, ICE. We should not have a law enforcement agency enforce our border. You see, MS, whatever the shit they call themselves now, MS now,
MS now,
or whatever the bullshit name they came up with. Nobody watches them anyway for most of the time, except us, just to get pissed off. But
hey, how about the fact that Chuck Schumer's wife,
oh yeah,
with 1,100 employees, hired illegal aliens?
1,100
illegal aliens. Now you know why the Democrats want illegal aliens in the country, so his wife can work them like slaves.
And what's going to happen to her? Is she going to go to jail for basically having half of Tijuana working in their freaking business? I don't know. This is nuts. Yeah, well, his attitude is ignore them. As long as they let me ignore them and do what I want, I'm going to do what I want. And this is, like I said, the new school committee stepped up and said, no, you're not going to do what you want. We're going to do what we want. We got the majority of votes, and that's the way it works. So let's see if the city council steps up. It's time for the city to step up and tell Coogan, no. There's not even a process. Listen, I don't care. I don't know this chief, and I don't know her, and she could be good, she could be bad. But you just can't say I'm going to give her a contract just because I want to. Look, they had this big, long, protracted discussion about this. Oh, we want an outside chief. We want an investigation. We want this. We want to do all this stuff. And then what did they come up with? They came up with an agreement that they go to civil service to eliminate this thing. That's the way they wanted to resolve it. Okay. All right. So now, let this chief take the civil service exam. And if she gets on the list, they can choose them. Top 3. That's the way the civil service system works. So why didn't they just give a test and tell her take the test? And now what the city council should be demanding is her contract doesn't have a sunset clause. Her contract's done. You're not going to fund a new one. He's just not going to give it to her. If they're going to have an interim chief while they establish a civil service list and get a civil service chief, that interim chief should follow the process that they discussed ad nauseum when this first went through the meat grinder in front of the council. They should bring in people to interview, have people apply for the job, even consider maybe getting an interim police chief from outside the city who knows nobody.
God forbid you do that.
Until we get a civil service chief.
The department would go in an uproar. God forbid you do that. As a matter of fact, right now, one of the big bitches, from what I have been told, is that nobody in the department has taken a chief's exam because the chief's position was contract. So if they call for the list right now, there's nobody in the Fall River department on the list. Oh, well.
Yeah, but did they call for a test?
I don't know.
No, see, that's the key. The key is if they called for an exam, there would be people taking a test, because the way it works in civil service is you have to have 3 people who are qualified. It's normally the rank below. golden showers. Might be both, Stevie. Might be both. But
the thing is, if a civil service list already exists for police chiefs, why would the city want a new exam?
Well, I don't. Well, CJ, that's you can't answer that question because we don't know if they have a list, if they called for a list. And that's what the city council should know. The city council, nobody in the city council I have heard has said that we have a civil service list and he won't use it. And if you called for a civil service, I don't believe he ever called for a test.
He hasn't called for a list. I know that.
He hasn't called. Well, you can't have a list without a test. So there you go. First you got to call for a test. So nobody made him call for a test. And if they called for a test, the way it works is the next rank below. If you want to take the captain's test, it's open to lieutenants. At least 3 lieutenants have to apply to take the test. If they don't get 3 lieutenants, which is never a problem because there's a whole bunch of lieutenants in a fighter, but it's like 45 or 50 of them. So they all want to make captain. They open it up to the next rank. So then it would be open to firefighters to go from firefighter, jump lieutenant, and go to captain. That's because not enough lieutenants wanted it. So same thing applies all the way up the ranks. When you take the chief's exam, it's only open to chief officers. Now, if not enough chief officers put in for the exam, it'll be open to captain. And you'll get people to take it. Somebody will take it. You know, Coogan and this disastrous, corrupt crime family will not be there. If you're on a civil services, but it's up to the city council to push. They made an agreement. I mean, everybody watched that thing unfold in nauseating detail, and all the discussions and the people in the audience and all of the byplays and name calling and everything else that went at that. Well, you know, I don't know. Well, maybe you're right, Gene. But I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of guys like me and some of the guys we had on the fire union. Because I'll tell you one thing: if they would have told me, I would have taken it just to have them try to retaliate, so I could sue their ass.
Wait, they did retaliate against you.
Yeah, they did. They tried not to make me a chief. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. We had to go. You know, we had a big. That was all over the newspapers for a long time. They did everything they could not to make me a chief when I was number 1 on a list, but I made it. So, but the thing is that I didn't give a shit. They said, no, you know, they'll never do it. And I said, well, I'll make them do it. Contract said you have to call for the list. They didn't call for the list. Our contract clearly stated that within 30 days of a vacancy, you have to call. They didn't call. I filed a grievance. Then we went at that. Then they called. Then they refused to bring it was a long, nauseating thing. Took months. Then Rossman broke them down on stand. They admitted they were colluding. But I made it. But you know, there might be people in the police department that you know still got to set and say, I'm going to take it. And if you people don't realize that. Guys used to tell me, you know, when you're the head of the union, you're going to have a target on your back, and you are. They tried to not make me a captain. They tried to not make me a chief, but I fought. See, you got to be willing to fight. If you're going to cave, well, don't do it, because you got to get it by being friendly. But you know, if the right's on your side, if you got a civil service and you top the civil service exam and you're on a list, and then they try to retaliate against you later, you got good grounds for a lawsuit. That's what I did. You got good grounds. You're retaliating solely because I'm in the union.
Yeah, but they really went out of their way with you.
They really did. Yeah, they really did.
They tampered with the list and everything.
They did. Yeah, they did everything they could. They had secret meetings they admitted to later on the oath and everything else. But yeah, they did everything they could. But I didn't care. I just kept. I just said, you're going to, I'm going to fight this thing until, we get a final decision, and they caved.
Hey, we got a comment on YouTube from Chicky711. Where are the checks and balances? our council should be stepping up on the people's behalf.
You're right.
You're right, Sticky.
And on their own half. On their
That's
own
right.
behalf. I mean, imagine what a bunch of, you know, I mean, listen, if some of those guys, if they did a scrotum, if they opened their scrotum and took their colognes out, it looked like two BBs on an 8-lane highway. That's how small they are. All right? Because remember this, guys. This council agreed to go to civil service. That was the agreement. Now the ones that are not going to go fight, they're fighting their own position because nobody objected. Nobody said, no, we don't want to go to civil service. We want Paul to pick them. Well, let's let Paul make the chief from now on. Even after he moves to Somerset, we'll call him up and say, who do you want as the fire chief and the police chief and every other department head, Paul? That's not what they said. They went through all this rigmarole. We want out of town chiefs. We want this. We want that. We want this. And then all of a sudden, what? Yeah, there you go. I doubt seriously, Michelle, if they, you know, listen, if you call for a list, we would have known about the test. I would have known.
That's right.
I have enough contacts in the police department to know if they would have been given a chief's list. I would have not only known they gave it, but I would have known who was on the list. It would have been very, very odd for me not to be getting a phone call from somebody to them. Yeah, they never called. But whose fault is that? It's the city council. If somebody tells you that they're going to do something that they were responsible for doing, that you made a deal with, and then 6 months later they haven't even made a move, whose fault is it? You didn't go and say, hey, you made a deal. We got the video here. You know, you said, oh yeah, and you said we were going to, both things, form of government, everything. They didn't hold his feet to the fire. Like you guys always say, accountability. Accountability. There's no accountability for anything in this city. There'll be no accountability for this brawl that they had with Durfee students. Tommy Corey will be saying, why we got a wonderful school system. Yeah, 363rd. 363rd. That's even less. That's lower than the amount of cities and towns we have in the entire state, because some of them have multiple districts. But 393 districts. 363 by that.
Fall River has 4.
Yeah. So you look at that, and all 4 are at the bottom.
Actually, that's not true. Actually, that's not true. We have four school districts. There's the Fall River Public Schools at the bottom of the list. Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School, very high on the list. Atlantis Charter School, very high on the list. And Argosy Charter School and Argosy Collegiate Charter School, very high on the list.
They're not part of the Fall River Public Schools.
That's right. They're not part of the Fall River School District.
Remember that. They're not part of the Fall. That's why we're down there, because they're not part of it. One's a regional school. The others are independents. Yeah. Well, that's right. All they do is talk, and like now this is their litmus test. We're going to have to see what they do. The school committee stepped up. They wrote a check with their mouth, and their ass cashed it. Paul wasn't happy, but their ass cashed it. So now Paul Coogan challenged them. You're a bunch of clowns. You can't make me do anything I don't want to do.
That's right.
I agreed with you, and everybody agreed. I didn't hear Joe Camara go, no, I want Paul to do it. I didn't hear Andrew Raposo. No, I didn't hear Linda. No. Give her a contract for a year, and we're going to go to civil service, and we agree. The hell with it. No outside chiefs. Keep it within the department and blah, blah, blah. But then the agreement was made. But when has Coogan ever abided by anything he's ever said? Never. I mean, after 6 years...
Paul, the proverbial procrastinator.
The pathological prevaricator. Paul, the pathological prevaricator. That's him. I mean, that's all he ever does. I mean, you could just look at how many times have you ever seen Paul take no for an answer? He never does. How many times in the council did they do something and he sent it right back down the next meeting and then down again? Or find their way around it. Oh, Rumsey, right up in a report. People don't know Rumsey. Like, Rumsey's the Supreme Court. I mean,
well, the dunce, otherwise known as Duncey, says that Paul has the authority under Fall River's Type A charter. Hey, nutwad, we don't have a Type A charter. We have a home rule charter. Quote me chapter and verse where he has that authority.
Yeah, well, listen.
It's amazing how they pull laws out of their ass that don't even apply to us.
Listen, I don't care what your charter said. The charter would be illegal if they were superseding the legal fiduciary right of the legislative body,
which he is,
to appropriate money.
Right.
There's where the lawyers see. The lawyers they take this little course in semantics, so you know how they can. That's why there's so many lawyers, and an old joke used to be, "What's 500 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?"
A good start.
Yeah, a good start. It's because yeah. Well, again, Scott. Again, there's no reason. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. There's no reason for a fire station down there except because it's Paul and all the Richies. Little thing. Look, we're going to have a fire station just for you. We're going to have just because this is our little jewel, our crown jewel. Duval Street's been here since Fall River's been basically around. If the apparatus running time from Stanley Street down the hill, gravity, wasn't well within NFPA standards for fire protection, we would be getting assessed a higher rate of fire insurance for that area of the city. That is total freaking bullshit. That is a waste again of the taxpayers' money. There's no need for that except to go with the $7 million benches and lights. Let's put a nice new fire station there so we can say, look, you got your own fire station over here.
It goes great with the new lights and benches.
That's right, goes great. Yeah, they might even put the same lights and benches in the station.
That's right.
No, that's right. It'll be beautiful. For what? We don't need it. We don't need it. What? To protect what? Cadero's property? Well, it's protected now. He'd be paying more for fire insurance. Check with the insurance, the ISO. Every so often, ISO goes to cities and they rate their fire departments. And if you got a department, like a volunteer fire department or a department that's only got a few men, they don't have enough manpower, you get a higher fire insurance rate. People don't know that. I do. That's what I did. That was my profession. I know how that works. I've seen ISO investigations. I've been part of ISO investigations. Just like if you live in a city like Fall River, which has got crime, even though on Facebook they'll tell you we don't, you got to pay higher auto insurance. You think you pay the same auto insurance if you live in Dartmouth as you do in Fall River? Hell no.
The fire station. That's just like the main. That's just like the central fire station. With the traffic thing, I mean, Duval Street is a shithole for traffic. Yeah. The way they got the lights set up. Okay, takes 45 minutes to get from the Somerset on ramp to 79 to the end.
Well, he's right because of one thing. The way they're supposed to do things today is you I don't know. I know he went to Brown undergrad. I don't know. But in cities, especially cities, it's like a circle. They triangulate the circle and they know running in like the spokes into the center of the city. Because if the station is put in a place where there's less traffic, at least you can get out of the station and begin to get there. Now you're always going to hit traffic, but there may be time for the traffic to clear a little bit. But if you're in the middle of a high density traffic area, like downtown on Bedford Street, what happens? All of a sudden, all the traffic's backed up. There's some construction down on Central Street. You come out of the apparatus, you're screwed. If you're on Duval Street, there could be a fire 6 blocks away, and you're tied up in work traffic getting out of work on Duval Street. It's horse shit. We don't need another fire station. And if we do, it should be done based on where we got a report years ago.
Danny, you'd know that. Danny would know that.
That's my man, Dan.
That's right. He would know that.
There's the guy. There's the only charter commissioner that stood up for the people of Fall River. The man who filed a minority opinion, the only charter commissioner to say, I don't agree with this charter. And he disagreed with most of it. A man of the people. Danny stood up for the people of Fall River. He's the only one. Everyone else and that original charter commission was a political hack. Danny was the only one. That was the best appointment ever made to the charter. Well, he was elected. But the thing is that Danny showed, and he's right. And Danny would know that because nobody knows the charter better than Danny. And yeah, listen, Rumsey, why do these people insist on thinking that every time a lawyer says something, it's like a freaking Supreme Court decision? It's not. It's not. He's a lawyer. He's giving you a legal opinion. And if you pay him, and he's a half-ass lawyer, he'll make the opinion support any position you take. Some lawyer with actual ethics would probably say, no, I'm not that. You're wrong with your interpretation on this. No, that's why these guys are not working in Boston, making millions of dollars like big-time lawyers. They're working for the city of Fall River so they can now get into the business of market rate housing and not make their money on law because they can't make enough money in the practice of law because they suck. It's that simple. So he comes down with an opinion and they're all like, oh, Rumsey said. Who gives a shit what Rumsey said? I can find a lawyer that will give me a different opinion. Why does the city lose 97% of the cases, or probably more than 97, actually probably more like 99% of the cases that they litigate? Because they suck. They make these bullshit rulings from the law department, and then when they get to court, the judge laughs them out of court. That's what happens. And it's not a theory. I'm not speaking from theory. I'm speaking from experience. I've been in Boston when a judge looked at the city of Fall River's attorney and said, what are you doing? Why are you here? Well, Your Honor, it says right here. He said, and the judge looked at him and said, attorney, whoever, you can't take one line out of an entire law, out of context, and make a ruling on that one line.
Well,
you have to read the entire law.
Exactly. Well, here's the kicker. Okay, I just got off the phone with a city councilor. Okay, and I said exactly what Danny said, that under the charter, all appointments must be confirmed by the city council. The city's position is that reappointments do not need to be confirmed by the city council.
No, that's a
And I would said, if a charter commissioner, Danny, are you listening, would step forward at a city council meeting and say that publicly because you know the intent of the charter and its position, they would be grateful.
Wait a minute. Yeah, they probably would, but they don't need that, okay? Because Danny's watching, and you don't need that opinion. Because you know why? Her contract is over.
That's what I said. Her contract's over. Therefore, it's a new contract.
And she's not being reappointed. She's
That's
being
right.
appointed.
Exactly.
Because that position is vacant.
Right.
At the end of her contract.
Right.
She's being appointed. There's no such thing as a reappointment. It's still an appointment.
That's right.
Bullshit. It's like rehabilitation.
And I said that. I said there's no continuation clause, no evergreen clause, nothing in her contract. Therefore, on May 13th, there's no one in the position.
Yeah, and even if she had an evergreen clause, that clause only guarantees that her pay and her benefits will remain the same until a subsequent agreement is negotiated.
Right.
And that's a new agreement. That is not a reappointment because she's being appointed for a totally different time. That will take effect on a particular day till another particular day, and then it ends without a sunset clause. And if there was a sunset clause, it would be then null and void because you redid it. It's an appointment.
Right.
These people are so full of shit. That's why they lose in court. If you went into a courtroom with that argument, the judge would throw your ass out in Boston. Fall River, probably not, because they all know each other. And they're all in confidence. That's why they're practicing law down here, not where they can make millions of dollars. But they'd laugh you out of court. I saw lawyers thrown out of court in Boston for filing a shitty brief. I saw judges in Boston while I was waiting for our case to be called. Sitting in a courtroom was really educational. The judge would look at the thing and look at the lawyer and say, "Did you go to law school? This brief is ridiculous. Go see my clerk, set another date, and learn how to write a brief. Because if you put something in like this to my courtroom again, I'll rule against you." That's the way it is in Boston. They're way too busy to be screwing around. I've seen in Fall River judges help lawyers.
Right.
With their briefs.
I hear you.
Welcome to the Star Wars bar. Whereas, what's the Klingon word for defecation? I don't know. We'll have to look that one up too. But since we're in Star Wars and stuff like that. But yeah, this is nuts. These people, and they try, and every time they try to justify it, they make themselves look stupider. Thank you, Danny, for your input. And I think that's a great idea that CJ come up. Go down there and tell these people. You people are, you're batshit crazy. Do you realize what that statement means? It means that if you get a job in Fall River again, even if it's a contract job, right? You're on the contract. That you can never lose the job again. They can just keep you on a payroll no matter how bad you do. Because the mayor likes you. That doesn't apply to reappointments. Horse shit. It'd have to say that in there. See, the absence of language, that you can't make that jump. If they wanted that in the document, they should have put it in. I mean, it's horse shit. Horse shit. That's a good question, though. We're gonna have to find out what law school. Maybe it was like Louie, Dewey, and Screwy. I don't know, law school or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it was like a correspondence course or something. I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the problem. They're projecting their insecurity by they're getting, they overcompensate. That's a defense mechanism for people who don't have self-confidence and they've got low self-esteem. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right, Scott. And that's the problem. I mean, these people are just they're grasping at straws. But now, listen, we're talking. We had a great discussion here, but reality is it's up to the council. Are they going to grow a set? I don't know. It's up to them. But they shouldn't allow this. And you're right. I just got a text saying it funding by the city council. It has to be confirmed and it has to be funded. The law's clear on the funding part.
Right.
And that's what they play their semantic game again. You're right. The mayor does have the right to make an appropriation. But that's an appropriation to fund a contract he negotiated. That appropriation then has to be justified in front of the city council. Because if you read 150E, it doesn't apply to this contract. It's on a collective bargaining agreement. But it says every single item has to be funded. So it's up to the fiduciary.
Oh, we do. We got future investments to do it.
Yeah, but it's up to the city council to make sure, because they are the fiduciaries, the legislative body. They hold the purse strings. They are the Ways and Means Committee. It's up to them to appropriate the money for the appropriation. That appropriation is a suggestion because he does not have the power. Listen, guys, if that was true, if that's the way government worked, we would not have TSA out of work, DHS without funding, because the idiot Democrats are holding it up. Trump would just say, hey, screw you, Congress. I'm paying them.
That's right.
I'm appropriating the money. I don't need you. I don't care what you want. This is what I want. I'm the president. I'm the executive branch. Sorry, there is a separation of powers. Think about it, Rumsey. Call up Donald and tell him, Donald, hire me. I'm going to go up there, write an opinion. They'll run your ass out of D.C. so fast, they'll laugh you out of the room if you try to make that case in front of guys like Jonathan Turley and stuff like that. You know, I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous.
His ass would be on fire.
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. It is. Yeah. No, yeah, of course you do, Danny, because your term is expired.
Right.
And
exactly.
It's a new term. It doesn't matter who is in there. They just have to put a name to fill that job, and you're the new hire. So theoretically, it's a new hire with every contract.
Exactly.
Like I said, Trump would be funding everything. Can you imagine if they gave Trump a free rein? I mean, but he can't do it. You can't do this shit. The city council is the legislative body. There is a separation. The executive branch does not fund things. They suggest the funding. They said that no, they have to appropriate it, give a number, and then it says in the law clearly. And it says even if you change something within the budget during the year, it has to go before the council. They don't do it. They don't do it in Fall River 90% of the time, but it actually says that in the law too. And if you, Rumsey, if you want the law, I'll give it to you. You're the lawyer. You're supposed to know this shit.
That's why I call him Duncy.
I mean, this is all on. I mean, Coogan, you're dead to get on TV. The guy that hides in the city hall, never had a press conference in 6 years about anything. And now he's on.
And he only talks to radio and TV Pravda. Remember that.
And he goes on TV and says, "I don't care what the council thinks." That's a slap in the face. Even your asses should be pissed off.
Hey, Stevie, did you tell him you were happy?
Yeah, no, they don't. And they don't care, James. See, that's the tragic part about it.
Yeah.
Like CJ said in his opening quote from Karl Marx, it becomes a tragedy when people are so uninformed. The first time, you know, it's
Fool me
bad.
once, shame on me.
That fooled me twice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yep.
shame on me. If you fool me once, you can, not even once, but you will
That's
pay.
it. Well, it's been a great show. I want to thank you all for watching. Remember, we have people that want us to bring you the information, so we do. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great evening.